Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Ari. We've got another episode for you in the Law of One series, Can Man Move Mountains with Faith? And in the previous episode, we discussed allegedly how the pyramids were built, and it seemed to have to do with a lot of faith, a lot of connection with intelligent infinity, and we're going to get right into this quote. So this is, the questioner asked something along the lines of, if you had faith to move a mountain, then the mountain would move. And here's the quote, the response by Ra. This is in the Law of One, Book 1, page 77. Quote unquote, the vibratory distortion of sound, faith, is perhaps one of the stumbling blocks between those of what we may call the infinite path and those of the finite proving/understanding. You are precisely correct in your understanding of the congruency of faith and intelligent infinity. However, one is a spiritual term, the other more acceptable perhaps to the conceptual framework distortions of those who seek with measure and pen. This is a very interesting quote. It's a very short quote compared to the last episode, but faith is a hugely important concept. It's something that I've continued to talk about more on this podcast. Some people really understand faith. Some people really get it. Some people don't understand it at all. I used to have no faith. I used to not understand faith at all. And this had to do with I was very left-minded, left-brained, analytical. I really ignored my right brain and my intuition. I was very unbalanced. This all really started to change after going through depression, anxiety, mental health issues. Once I really dug within myself, looked within, and found and realized the power of faith. I don't want this to sound cliche at all, but the power of faith, the power of trust, the power of self-belief, these kind of things that you can't quantify actually have far more power than any intellect or analysis or analytical left-minded. Being able to integrate your left and right brains and have a more holistic thinking, that is really what faith is, at least to me. And really trusting in power, really trusting in the love in yourself. And as you can see from this quote, the power of faith is great. Maybe you don't believe it. Maybe you will never believe it until you can see it with your two eyes that yes, man can actually move mountains with faith. Yes, man can actually move mountains with faith. It doesn't mean that you can do it. It doesn't mean that I can do it. It doesn't mean that either of us has enough faith, but I bet that there are some people out there, some people that you would call superhumans that you've never even met, that can legitimately move a mountain with their faith because their faith is so pure, their faith is so strong, they're a pure channel for this to go on. And it's interesting that Ra calls faith one of the stumbling blocks between those what we may call the infinite path and those of the finite proving/understanding. I really couldn't have said this any better myself. Faith opens you up to the infinite. Faith is kind of like a door that opens you up out of this box that you've trapped yourself into, this finite little box of who you think you are, this little shell, into the infinite, into the unknown, into the mysteries of the universe. And it's honestly quite amazing. It's quite amazing that faith helps you realize that there is far more out there than you can ever imagine. Your ego doesn't want to believe this. Your ego is comfortable staying in this little box. Your ego doesn't want its superiority complex to get hurt. Your ego wants to think that it's the greatest thing out there, and it's just not. And faith is really going beyond rationalism. It's really going beyond materialism. And if you're somebody like me who used to be very scientifically math-oriented, left brain, analytical, I was never really too creative or intuitive. I didn't really ever think about my right brain at all. This may take a while to cultivate. I know that faith took me time to cultivate. It took a lot of time for me. It took at least a couple years of really being tested and really just staying consistent every single day. And the congruency between faith and intelligent infinity is something that I definitely want to touch more upon, but we're going to be talking about this a lot in the rest of the Law of One series. Both of these words, faith and intelligent infinity, are similar. They may even be synonyms according to Ra, but as Ra says, one is more of a spiritual term. Faith is more of a spiritual term. The other one, intelligent infinity, is more aligned to those of the rational left brain approach, as they say, those who have conceptual distortions who seek with measure and pen, basically the science type of people. But either way, when you include the term infinity, you're going to have a more holistic approach if you even want to try to comprehend, because you're never going to be able to comprehend infinity. especially not with a left brain only analytical approach. To really understand infinity, an intelligent infinity that is, you're going to have to mix your left brain and your right brain, but you might even have to be more right brain. The right brain is really more in tune with the intuition and the creativity and understanding to open up your frameworks and conceptualizations. So, can man move mountains with faith? According to Ra, yes. Let me know what you think. I want to hear your opinions. How does faith play a role in your life? What role does faith play in your life? Are you somebody who really lacks faith? Are you somebody who faith comes easy to? Does this have to do with, and the faith doesn't even have to do with any specific religion. It really comes down to having faith in things that you can't see with your two eyes. Having faith in either a higher power or a higher order such as love or peace or justice. Tell me, what does faith mean to you? And do you think that man can move mountains with faith? Do you think that anyone can move mountains with faith? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions.